Hello, everybody. Welcome to The Good, the Bad, and the Rugby Premiership Preview Show with BetUK.com. I'm Lawrence Delalio with my very smart new hat. I get there just before you because I know you're going to spit something out. Go on.
Well, Vinnie Jones, but
Vincent Jones.
Just not really got that edgy look of Vinnie Jones.
You know
it's like a what is it? Out of focus, Vinnie Jones, isn't it?
Right, okay.
Marshmallowy, soft.
You got to give points for effort,
unscary,
not for carrying it off.
Were you not described as weedy this week?
I was. You want me to read that out to you? Actually, I have to say I was sort of spitting on my back teeth, if that's even an expression. Radio Times have reviewed The Good, the Bad, and the Rugby, and they've said former internationals James Haskell and Mike Tindall, two figures who loom large in every sense in the England dressing room in recent years, tell rugby stories. But the person who makes it really work, at this point I'm getting quite excited, is the comparatively weedy Alex Payne, which sort of has made me reassess my life in some ways. But,
it takes you back to that men's health thing. You've just got to get back in the gym, mate, and start walking around with your top off.
I've done Curzon's pod this week, and
I've been loving that. I'm definitely listening to that.
He said the feedback has been mediocre on you, but everyone wants the fight. So I sort of can't get out of it now, which is we're going to have to get that done.
We'll get it done big. We'll do it big.
Do you think? Because actually, I used to work with Eddie Hearn years and years ago at Sky on the poker, so I'm kind of hoping he might be able to come in and hype it. We could get Carl Frampton with a little bit of bob and duck and weave.
I'm sure we can pull some people in.
Umbro will kit us out properly.
Yeah, a bit of Boodles. Boodles come in as well.
Yeah. But I know I'll be the Dolph Lundgren, so I'll get booed out of town, and I'm not sure I'm ready for that. Talking about getting knockout, our performance hasn't gone very well in this recently. How much work have you put in this week on our BetUK.com Premiership Preview Show? Please tell me you are coming with a full house.
I have come with numerous options for the punters out there, but I do feel that it's embarrassing that Haskell probably did nothing and looked at a piece of paper for 5 seconds has done better than we have. But there you go. We will keep trying and we will keep searching.
Right.
For the elusive
T's and C's.
6 from 6.
6 from 6 is the quest. We are obviously doing this show every week of the Premiership season. It's a little accoutrement to the main podcast, which this week actually was quite good fun. We spoke rugby, which was a bit of an anomaly for the Good, the Bad, and the Rugby. And we obviously dissected and debated all things England, congratulated Scotland, tucked into Wales and France and their good wins, and sifted through Ireland and Italy. You can, of course, get that by downloading it from wherever you do your downloads, or you can watch it here on YouTube. Just search Good, Bad, and Rugby if you haven't found that already. The next 15 minutes or so, we're going to have a quick look at the week's games in the Gallagher Premiership, a few predictions from Mike and I thrown in for good or bad measure. Either follow or stay well clear. You'll be probably doing a little bit more of the latter, and hopefully that'll bring you some success as you go. You got 3 right, 3 wrong. I got 2 right and 3 wrong last week, although that was a draw included in the 3 wrong. So you pays your money. We've already mentioned the fact the only person so far with a perfect record is Hask, and he hasn't been seen on one of these prediction shows since. So that's slightly irritating.
Which is a very wise decision on his part, I think.
Yeah. Quick word on, I suppose, one of the great stories at the moment is Alex Sanderson, who has taken the success at Sarries into the success at Sale. Are we looking now at a genuine contender in Sale this year?
Well, I think if you look back, even to last year, they just missed out on the playoffs because of COVID. Obviously, the COVID nightmare they had at the end of the year. I think I will always go through that squad, and that is a top 4 pushing for honours squad. I think what they sort of fell into was a bit of a funk in terms of just not being able to click, or whether there was something off field with Dimes or whatever was going on. It just wasn't allowing itself to perform on the field. And I think the perfect person to come in is Mr. Motivator in terms of Al Sanderson, and really just get them playing for themselves. We talked about that Wolfpack mentality, and what makes a club great is the feeling that you're part of something, not you're just playing to win. You're sharing memories with each other, and his experiences at Saracens, and if he can start doing that at Sale, they have a good enough squad to go and contend at the top of the table for foreseeable future until that team gets split up.
I wonder when Manu's back as well, because that'd be quite a useful addition when hopefully the grounds firm up a bit and the sun comes out. We shall.
You just want to see Manu just be able to get back and stay fit. That is all you want to see, and that's what everyone wants to see.
Too true. Don't forget, BetUK.com are the official Premiership Rugby Predictor app, and they're offering over 14 grand worth of cash prizes throughout the 2020-21 season. As you make your picks, you are awarded points for each correct result you choose. We're not doing too well on that front at the moment. The player with the most accrued points at the end of the season wins a fantastic 5 grand cash prize. Completely free to play. You never need to miss out. The official Premiership Rugby Predictor app is available exclusively on BetUK.com's own app for players aged 18 and over. And you can do that via iOS and Android. Tournament 3 is now underway if you'd like to get involved. Have a peek. Couldn't be simpler to make your picks for the upcoming games. All you need to do is, number 1, download the BetUK.com app. 2, register and log into your account. 3, select the Premiership Rugby Predictor game from the menu. Make your prediction, home win, a draw or an away win for all 6 of the weekend's Premiership fixtures. Submit those predictions ahead of the weekend and then keep your fingers crossed that you've picked the winners. T's and C's apply. No surprise there. 18s and over, please. Be gambleaware.org and please gamble responsibly. Let's rip into round 8. Kicking off with what is surely an away banker. Gloucester hosting Briz. And for Gloucester, it's their worst run of form since 2012. They lost the last 6 derbies. There can only be one, surely.
You would think so. Now, obviously Bristol lost last weekend, but when you look at the game, what Sale are at the moment is they are very efficient in terms of defensively breakdown time, and Bristol just carried on playing the same way and didn't really adjust to the fact that there was so much competition. I don't know how many actual turnovers there were, but Bristol Sale were all over them at breakdown time in terms of the amount of turnovers they had. Now, fortunately for Bristol, they're going to get against Gloucester, who just love letting in tries. So, love being quite loose. Gloucester have made quite a few changes in the back row. Freddie Clark's coming in, Jamie Gibson's coming in, and in replace of Geordie and Ruan Ackerman. And they've moved Billy 12trees to 10. I'm not sure what they're trying to gain from that. I'm assuming they're going to be asking him to kick a bit more and try and get them down there a little bit more. But I don't know whether you're improving your decision making by doing that. But that means Henry Trinder comes in, which I'm quite excited about because I think Trinder again is one of those players, if you can stay fit, is a quality player. But also we know what Bristol Bears can do without Semi and without their internationals, as we saw 2 weeks ago, where they stuck a barrel load on Bath. So I am thinking it's going to be a loose game. There's going to be a high scorer, but I think the people who are flying are Bristol Bears, and I think they're the ones that are going to come out on top quite easy.
Can't argue with any of that. Take. I've gone Bristol as well for all those reasons. Probably lump on Gloucester. Gloucester might be a good value. Probably might be a good value bet at this point, but I think Bristol get back into it.
I looked at value bets and whether they were a value bet. They're only. I think Bristol minus 7.5 is still a banker.
Oh my god, yeah. What's total points?
That hasn't been put out yet.
Really? I'd be quite interested in that.
Probably waiting for weather. Yeah, I do think it'll be a high scoring game. I think total points would be very interesting, but we'll see.
Double Briz in game 1. Just before we do Sale at home to Bath, really sad news about Dave Edgerton this week. Who was a great Bath man, and I know he was actually still sort of very much involved in covering the club for, I think it was BBC Bristol, and a guy who I really enjoyed watching growing up when I was a kid. So very, very sad news about that. Did you meet him? Did you come across? For a while, wasn't he?
Yeah, but not back when I was playing. I probably did meet him a few times back then, but don't really have many memories of that. But I've done a few of their. They're very good with their sort of legend stuff, Bath, and I always get invites back, and they do dinners at the pavilions. They invite players to games, and I can't remember how many years ago, 3 years ago, I think it was, that there was a good one. We all got together. They sorted out the hotel, and we stayed at sort of the old Hilton in the middle of town. and then you go to the game, and then you go out on the smash with all the old fellas. It was good fun. I think it even ended up with a bit of fisticuffs as well between us all, which was good old Bath rugby days, I think.
Old habits die hard.
It was always the back row, Webby, Spurrell, all those guys that still can't let things go.
We're talking Richard Webster, not Jonathan Webb. I can't imagine the great Bath doctor getting out the old pistols and going duelling.
Yeah, Richard Webster. I've met him. I met Dave Edgerton on those nights, and it's just great to sort of be around that era that was so dominant and hear their stories and what they used to get up to. I mean, yeah, he was a good man, and he will be missed.
He will be. And actually, Barnsley wrote a very nice article in the Times about him as well. So dig that out if you haven't. In terms of the game, so hopefully a little something for Bath to play for, but they're having a stinker at the moment. One win in the last 10 in all games, Bath. Sale, as we said, won the last 4. They haven't won 5 in a row in 15 years, tells me the news. Is this... And we're seeing some fairly extensive losing runs come to a halt. What with Scotland? Is this the time for Sale?
At home, I can't see it at the moment. The only thing you would pull up on Sale is that their attack is not properly singing, is it? It's workmanlike and it's getting the job done. But the good thing for them is Bath have an immensely leaky defence, and they don't. Again, they won't deal with the sort of pressure game that Sale will play. In terms of they just shut Bristol down. They did, and unless Bath come with a very specific plan on how they think they can beat them, which I don't think they have. I think they have a way of playing, and they will stick to that, and that will suit Sale more than it will suit Bath. And I imagine in a snowy northern town, it will be a comfortable win again for Bath. What I did look at...
you think comfortable win for Bath?
Oh, sorry, for Sale. Yeah. Sorry, just to throw a shock of it. So if I say Bath, everyone knows to bet on Sale. That's what I meant. I think Bath are plus 13.5, which I thought at one point might be worth looking at. But then I wouldn't want to... It's like betting on a French team. I won't want to trust it. Yeah. So I've decided just to take Sale on the win on that one.
Ting ting. I, again, can't argue. I think Sale are moving up at the moment. I think Sanderson's getting his feet under the desk. I think they will continue to improve. I think Bath are searching for something. Just can't see at the moment where they're finding an answer. So we shall see. Quins against Leicester is next. 3 points separating the two in the table. Tigers scored 5 forwards tries last week, like the good old days, the ABC club. Are we seeing a bit more of Steve Borthwick coming through in their performance?
Yeah, I think so. I think they want to get back to that. I think that's what Leicester's been built on for decades now. But I do think that Quins have just hit a little bit of a hot spot at the moment, and they've got some players that are flying high. And at home, they are at home, aren't they? Yeah. I feel that they will have too much in the locker. But what I do think is Leicester plus 10.5 is a good bet.
Yes.
I don't think it's going to be a thrashing of more than 10. I think Leicester are improving, and they've shown that they can sort of mix it, and I think it'll be closer than that. But I do think Quins will win.
I did a Rugby Reclined, our new little series with Alex Donbrandt yesterday, I think it was. And he said that there's a real sparkle around Quins at the moment, big smiles. And I think that probably is enough to see them through. They've got quite a good little rivalry, actually, Quins and Leicester. Leicester have stumbled at the stoop a few times in recent seasons. And I think, not going to argue, Quins, on we go. Game of the week probably is Saturday afternoon at Sandy Park. Champions Exeter taking on revitalised London Irish, who I'm really enjoying at the moment, Irish. Have they revitalised enough to win at Sandy Park?
I don't know. Exeter, we've talked about for the last 2 weeks in terms of they're not firing, are they? They're not the Exeter we know. They're not buzzing, but they are just grinding and getting things through, which part of their game is set up for. I agree with you. I actually quite like what London Irish are doing, and I think for them it is a shame that they missed those 2 games with COVID, because they obviously walk away with. Did they walk away with 2 points, or did they walk away with? Whereas I think you look at their form now. If they'd have got those games, they could be in a different position in the league. I think it's from their performance, their form over the last few weeks. I think they're in a tough spot with where they actually should be. But I do think Exeter will still get the job done. But you can also take London Irish plus 10.5, which I think is not a bad bet at the moment. With Exeter in their funk, and with London Irish being they're scoring points, aren't they? They are getting.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Yeah,
they are getting points on the board. And now some might say that Exeter are a little bit more stingy than the teams that they've played against, because obviously one of them was Gloucester. But I don't think Newcastle's too leaky, and they scored 31 against them. They scored, going back to the European Cups, they scored 26-34. So I think they're going to put up a good fight, but I think Exeter will sneak it. But if you want a bit of value, London Irish plus 10.5, I think it's not a bad bet.
Yeah. There are a couple of concerns. Kepu obviously is left Irish, and Adam Coleman, I think, got injured right at the very start of the game last week. But they've still got so many quality players. Creevy's signed on again, so I think Irish are settled. I think they're moving in the right direction. But I would go with Exeter to win at home as well. They haven't lost consecutive games at home since 2014, and you just get the sense that they're sort of working their way through the dip that comes off the back of the double. So I'd go Exeter with that one. Northampton against Newcastle, 5th against 7th. Saints looking for a 4th straight win in the Prem. And actually, very quietly, they played some really good rugby last weekend as well. Falcons, on the other hand, looking to bounce back after a close loss against Exeter a week ago. And this has got quite a lot of juice in it, this one. I'm fascinated to know where you've gone.
Yeah. Do you know what? I've just gone for a home. I've gone on the home team. I think this is a very hard match to call. I think, as you said, Northampton have turned things around. But even when Northampton were losing at the start of the season, I don't think they were playing bad rugby. They just hadn't found that way to win. It's the other way around. They sort of found that way to lose, throw an intercept or do something silly that cost them a game. Whereas now they've sort of eradicated those mistakes out of it, and they've moved forward. So I think that they just edged this because they're at home. I think it's going to be a close game, but I've just gone for Northampton. Newcastle can grind things out, but I think Northampton, with their current form, are a better option.
Yeah, I quite like the fact that they're doing it Northampton without, Dan Bigger, obviously, who's away with. I think James Grayson's, coming to the party. I think you just get the sense that Chris Boyd has taken quite a while to work it out. I just thought some of the rugby they played last weekend was reminiscent of when he had the Canes humming, and I've gone with Northampton as well, but in a very close one. The other thing I quickly wanted to say, actually, given we're talking about the Falcons, and we are getting lots and lots of messages at the moment. I'm sorry we can't get to all of them, but I just wanted to give a nod to a former Falcon, actually, who Sam Leeming, who's going through a pretty rough time at the moment, currently playing out at the Jersey Reds. He was diagnosed with lymphoma in pre-season last summer and is currently recovering. And there's a really good fundraising effort going on for him at the moment. His brother Tom, Annie Gosh, and Gareth Jeffries rode for 24 hours individually on a YouTube live stream, which is a hell of an effort. I'm not entirely sure that it's a great watch, but well done on an incredible effort. They've raised over 18 grand so far. So Sam, we wish you all the very best in your recovery. I know it's a tough time to be doing this kind of thing at the moment, but keep trucking in that regard. And if any of you feel like finding a bit of change down the back of the sofa, if you tap Tom Leeming into GoFundMe, you can find his page there. But Sam, sending you all our very best. I know you'll be keeping a keen eye on the Falcons. We will watch with interest to see how they go, but we've both gone Saints narrowly. Finally, and this is where you and I, interestingly, have gone toe to toe all the way through this. I've stepped away from this one, Worcester Wasps. I just don't want to go into the final game of the weekend comfortable in the 5 bets.
You don't want it to ruin.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't want to ruin your Sunday lunch, do you? You want to sit back there, smugly watch what goes on. Yeah. You don't want to hassle. You want a hassle-free Valentine's, yeah. You don't want to be an angry one.
Wasps have dominated this one in the past. They've won the last 12 between the two, and yet at the moment they are spinning a little bit. they're there for the taking. There's no doubt about that. But are Worcester in a position to do just that?
Yeah, I mean, Worcester over the past 3 games have conceded 130, nearly 130 points, I think it is. So they need to get their defence firing. Worcester they're good for 15 points, but they're not. There's no real evidence that they're going to stick a shed load past you. So, Wasps have been in a funk, but they are too good a team not to turn it round at some point. And I think they will look at this game as and they'll have put a massive focus on this, getting back to what they are. Obviously, over the past couple of weeks, they've had tougher games. Obviously, what happened at Quins at home and back-to-back losses. I think they'll be looking forward to getting back on the road. Seems though they beat Bath before that and then Sale before that on the road. I just think the talent that they've got, they're going to, Dan Robson Robertson's not on the bench, is he?
Yeah, he is.
Is he? So Dan Robson's still away. So okay,
and also Jack Willis.
Yeah, Jack Willis. Yeah. So actually making some very valid points for in Worcester.
Too late.
In Worcester's favour.
You're committed.
I'm still committed. I'm even committed on my
and Paolo Dogwu. Yeah, because Dogwu will still be in the England squad because they won't release him to the club because of the COVID.
Of course.
Hence why I've stepped away.
I have still gone on my value as well as a Wasp -2.5. So I still think they're going to get the job done. But I now take on board some of your points that I'd forgotten.
I've just gone and miss one. I've just raised the hands, but let the ball sail over my head.
I keep forgetting that they can't jump back and forth in and out of those things, can they? So they can't even play, even if they're in them. So dear viewer, lack of knowledge by me. So I would, but I've got to stick to. I've got to pin my stripes somewhere, and I'm going to at least. I don't want it to be the same as you, so I'm going to. Wasps, don't let me down. And hopefully we'll come back. And even if you want to increase your odds on my little more tastier looking than Alex's 3-1 on shot or whatever it's going to be,
5-2 with a boost.
Then I'll read out my long list of things, and then
go on then. What I love is how convincing and the conviction that you've shown all the way through your first 5, and now you're
you've actually made some really valid points that I have possibly not looked far enough ahead into my crystal ball to figure out the Wasps one. So I have gone Bristol -7.5. This is for alternate bets. Sale just to win. Leicester +10.5. London Irish +10.5. Northampton to win. And Wasps -2.5. And that too has been boosted.
That is a very nice job. I fear that my house of cards will have collapsed long before I get to any Wasps Worcester game. So I've gone straight wins: Bristol, Sale, Quins, Exeter, and Saints, and that's a little boosted 5-2. If you fancy the Hail Mary, Tins is your man. You'll be riding the Warriors with him.
I'm not entirely sure what my boosted is, but it's going to be over 20-1. So your little tenner on that, and you're cheering everyone home. Perfect.
Yeah. Exactly, a little Valentine's boost for this weekend.
Pays for the roses, doesn't it? Pays for the roses.
It does. Talking of roses, are we going to get a little bounce back? Are we going to get England by 30 or an England by 10?
Obviously, interesting few changes in the team. With Farrell moving forward, coming in, Farrell moving 10. I think that's really, really harsh on Ollie Lawrence in a game where they didn't pass to him till 62 minutes into the game.
So that's quite interesting. Do you, just on this, everyone's talking about Ollie Lawrence, and there's no doubt it's a really tough card for him. But has Eddie said, if you play international rugby, you've got to go looking for the ball more? I mean, is there an accusation that Ollie Lawrence hasn't put himself into the game, or are we sympathetic that the game didn't come to him? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I think playing 13, 12, games can go away from you in terms of, yes, you have to then learn how to get yourself in a game. But for him on that given day, it would be him just running off 9. It would be that is the only way. It barely got outside 10 before it got kicked. So I accept that, but it's not going to be the same with Faz there. He's not going to be trucking it up for them. It probably just means you're going to get more kicking and little runarounds. But, if he's there, you've got to trust him to do that thing and try and get you on the front foot, which they didn't do. And so I think it is harsh on him, and it puts a lot of pressure on Faz now to have a big game. I didn't expect him to necessarily get dropped, but I wasn't sure that they. In some ways, I don't feel that Ollie Lawrence, on that performance that they had generally all round, doesn't deserve another shot at moving forward. But who else has been changed in that team? Bat Rose changed. Laws
Luke
coming.
Dickey at hooker.
Yeah, and then
And forward back obviously.
Yeah, I think they need the props have also changed with Mako. They need a performance. They need with a performance they will definitely win, but they need a performance. If you look back to their last games coming out, all of the Autumn Nations games were quite dull as dishwater, and people were saying how poorly they were playing, and obviously how poorly they attempted to play against Scotland. That's not taking anything away from Scotland. They're just saying England's performance was poor also. They need a genuine performance. Obviously, if they put a performance, they'll put 40-50 on Italy, or they should do. But I want to see the back buzzing with energy, that defence buzzing how it has been over the last few years. Even in the autumn, at least that was buzzing, and that's why they got the results they did. But then I want to see the attack side buzzing too. I want to see everyone touching the ball. I want to see Johnny May in open space with his hands on ball, Anthony Watson. I want to see Elliot Daly actually running at people, not kicking. Now, am I asking too much? I hope not. I know that Eddie Jones has a plan and he always has an answer, but I think they need to show that in a performance, an all-round performance.
Good on you. One word: Ireland or France?
France.
You said that, actually, didn't you? And Scotland or Wales?
Scotland.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
Both have got injuries, but I think last week will be massive for Scotland, and I'm really hopeful that it's that it's that sort of proverbial kick in the butt that they needed to start winning games that they used to lose.
Yeah, I want Scotland to be up there.
No,
1999, the last time they won it.
How good? Well, I know it's not going to happen, but how good would it be if Scotland France going for a head-to-head of a Grand Slam? I mean, it doesn't happen, but. Who plays whom on the last day? So we play Ireland.
We're at Ireland.
On the last day.
I don't know.
Is it France? It'd be brilliant if it was France Scotland.
Hang on. Six Nations. Fixtures 21.
Who gets that first?
It is Scotland Italy. So Scotland France in week 3 in Paris.
Week 3. So I mean. It's a shame that it's not the end, but I think I think France are the shoo-ins now to win it. They still have a tough trip to Twickenham without a doubt, but I would fancy them on last week's performance. I would fancy them on last week's performance to possibly take us, but we will see how it develops in the next 2 weeks, and obviously someone will fall in that third week, and there'll be one person left going for it. I would have thought, yeah.
Good on you. Enjoy the weekend. Happy Valentine's Day.
You too, yeah. I'll say, make sure my roses arrive. Yours are in the post.
That's very sweet. Thank you.
Chocolates too, please.
It's nice and peaceful doing this without Hask, isn't it? We sort of just chat away. That is it for our BetUK.com Premiership preview show for another week. Hopefully our tips will be of some use to you. Either use them as a magnet, and that, of course, can go both ways, repel or magnetise. I'm not sure that bit works. Don't forget the main show this week, looking back on the opening weekend of the Guinness Six Nations. Enjoy round 2 wherever it is you're watching it from. The Lord and Tommy Shelby. Over and out for this week.